yes to the Nicene Creed. And you understand, you say yes. That's my extent. I'm a faithful Catholic. That's not what he's saying here. He's saying what it really means in terms of reality itself. That's what he's trying to get at. Okay? So let's keep going. Yes, go ahead.
No, because I take you out for 15 minutes. Go ahead.
What?
We'll have a conversation. Well, I mean, that gets into the question of whether you obey the priest or you say, no, Father, I don't think so. I mean,
That's a question down the line, yes. Okay, so let's keep that one,
Yeah,
okay?
keep it down the line.
Okay, next line down. What does it mean to be a believer, a Catholic, and a member of the church in the context of today's world? That's another line there, see that? Then the next line.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Being a member of the church means having faith, Wojtyła answers. For this reason, the implementation of the council, he's talking about what? Vatican II, right? Consists first and foremost in enriching that faith, enrichment being understood as the reception and realization of faith in personal subjectivity, in conscious experience. So it's not just a matter of saying, you write Catholic over your forehead, and then just do whatever. See? It's an actual personal subjectivity and an experience here that happens inside of you that makes a difference. Okay, a few lines down, the last paragraph, 4 lines up from the bottom. As von Balthasar was a theologian, well-known theologian in Europe, Renaissance man, wrote on tons and tons of things. One of the premier Catholic theologians. As von Balthasar points out, St. John of the Cross's theology can be understood as a response to Luther, a specifically modern response in which personal subjectivity plays a pronounced role, yet without any polemical edge against the objective content of faith and its elaboration in monastic and scholastic theology.
Right.
Aha. Yes, don't forget that. Let's skip on, okay? What was challenging and scandalous in the Carmelite response to Luther was the manner in which it integrated the entire monastic tradition from the Greeks through the Middle Ages into the new Christian radicalism and gave to that tradition a hitherto unknown radicality by the modern turn towards the personal, the experiential, and the psychological. In other words, you condense all that down. St. John took all the problems that came with the Reformation, and all of that stuff, because everybody was getting away from St. Thomas Aquinas and objective reality outside, and so on and so forth. And it brought it back, but it brought it back in a subjective way to reality, which had never been done before. So it's now see, there are 2 ways of looking at reality. You take your mind and it's a laser beam, and you look out there and you say, okay, now what is that? So as a scientist, I slice it up and I look at it, and I look under the microscope and I say, oh yeah, that's a kidney. Or that's a part of a kidney. So I identify that because I can actually see it there. This kind of subjective thing has to do with intuition and the kind of knowledge that we get from the personal subject. That also is very important. So if you marry the 2, then you got something, don't you? If you just do the objective, if you just do the subjective, you got to have both.
And is the marriage called phenomenology?
Is what?
The marriage of those 2 phenomenology, or is it just
No,
another
it's the
name?
experiential. It's that turn towards the subject that's phenomenological. In other words, the reality that a person sees, if they're totally a phenomenologist, is the reality that I experienced by experiencing you.
Is there a name? What's the name for that?
Phenomenology.
Oh, okay.
And that's what the authors experienced with that physical.
Yeah. In other words, so John Paul II is saying, now it's a relational kind of thing. See, notice it's a relational language. So basically, everybody's into relationship today, are they not? Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a relational language, then you're going to be inside the person's head much better than if you sit there and say, now I want you to look at that muskrat, and I want you to determine, what that does, and so on.
John, I think the specific question was, you're describing a balance of subjectivity and
Yes.
objectivity.
Yeah.
And the question was, what do you call that balance?
Thank
Oh,
you.
what do you
Yes.
call the
Yes,
balance?
that's it.
you call the balance? Reality.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you call it. It's reality because,
Or an accurate perception of reality.
yeah, you're dealing with the two sides of reality. You're dealing with the objective and the subjective, and the two get married, and that gives you a complete picture of what's going on. It's like looking at the Trinity. Is there an internal life to the Trinity? Yes. It's called theology. What's the outside of the Trinity? When the Trinity works with creation, what's that called? Economia. See? In other words, there's outside and there's inside. We want to know both, don't we, as Catholics, as Christians? Do we not? I want to know your experience. Oh, well, give me another example. Okay, supposing I say, okay, you want spiritual direction, right? Okay, I've got two priests to give you. I've got a young priest who's got 2 PhDs, one in psychology and one in spirituality. He's 28 years old. I got this priest over here. He was over in Red China for 8 years in prison. He has no PhDs. He was broken when he was there. He was broken. He was tortured and broken. He's now back here teaching. Which one are you going to choose for your spiritual advisor?
One person.
Why? See? Yeah, I don't know. See? Okay. But anyway, you know, many of you would choose the person. Why? Because you sense that there's something about that experience that is going to be a part of that person that you're going to meet.
For spiritual direction, something like that.
It's obvious he's going to know.
Thing that would guide him through.
Yes. Not only that, but he's going to know humility, is he not?
He's gotta put himself back together again.
Well,
That's
no,
the
I'm suggesting that he is. By the way, there was a priest like that, and he used to give retreats to our girls at Presentation High School. He was exactly that.
I have a video on that guy. It's amazing. He changed the guards. They had to change the guards because he was converting the guards.
Antoine,
It might be a different person, but I mean, we're talking a lot of priests over there in China at that time who got incarcerated. Okay.
He is now.
Anyway, let's get going. Let's go, and oh my gosh, it's almost time to tell a story.
Yes.
What was the story that I was gonna tell?
The time you got hammered with the nuns.
Oh, no, that's, you know,